Hello. I have a question that will require a bit of speculation. A couple of years ago, I was telling my mother about the objectivism and ideas of Ayn Rand, and she said, "Yeah, that's brilliant, but I bet she didn't have any kids." And then I thought about.
What did she say?
She didn't have any kids. My mother said that I bet Ayn Rand didn't have any. And then I started thinking, that's true. And then I analyzed her female characters. They didn't have any kids. So I was wondering if you could speculate, why do you think she didn't have any? And do you think it might be because she would have to alter her philosophy if she had to have kids, if she chose to have kids? Do you think it would lead her to some compromise?
No, I mean, and I think she talked about this. I don't think we have to speculate about why she didn't have kids. I think she said it. I mean, she took having kids seriously, right? As I said before, it's like a profession. It's a career. If you're going to have kids, you have to invest in them. I think you take it seriously and you take it as a moral responsibility. It's massively time-consuming, and her career was as a novelist and as a philosopher, and there was no time for two careers. This was the career she was going to engage in, and there was never any doubt. It wasn't that she weighed the two options. There was one career that she chose, and she was going to do this career, and she couldn't conceive, I think, of doing something else that would take a massive amount of energy, like raising kids, that would involve in that. But let me just say, there's nothing in objectivism, as a parent, right, and other parents here that can attest to this, there's nothing in objectivism that contradicts having kids. Plenty of us have kids, and it's not like we're conflicted between having the kids and being good objectivists. It's completely integrated, it's completely seamless. There's no conflict between the two activities. It's just you have to make a commitment that this is going to be my primary orientation, or a big chunk of my orientation, and Ayn Rand was not willing to do it because she had chosen a different primary orientation.
Can I just ask, because I'm not sure if I heard the question fully correctly, but toward the end it sounded like you're asking, do you think she chose not to have kids because it would have, I forget the word you used, and again, I might not have heard it right. I think I said altered, maybe. But it might have threatened her philosophy in some ways?
Yeah, maybe she would have to resort to a compromise.
I have to say, I find absolutely no evidence in anything I know about Ayn Rand to think that, oh, I'm not going to do that, because if I do that, I might have to question what I already think, like as a good little dogmatist or something about reality. So,
but I was, that's true, but when I was reading why she was writing novels, not only her essays on philosophy, she said because there's nothing better to exemplify her philosophy than a character. And I found no main characters in her book that would be a model for parenthood, because they were all independent, mature adults with no kids. So I was just wondering why she didn't picture a model of a parent in her book.
I mean, I think of that as that's reading too much the novels as their propaganda for the philosophy and not self-expression. So she's a romanticist in art, and it is essentially, her view is essentially self-expression. So I think she's not interested in it, but there's no implication that you shouldn't be interested in having kids. She's not interested in writing about it, dramatizing it. It's not true that there's no kids so there is a little bit in The Fountainhead, the midwife, and I think even more relevant for things, We the Living is Kira, you meet her as a teenager, it is about family. So if you're interested also in her kind of view and perspective on family, We the Living is an interesting book to read from that perspective. But it's still, they're not propaganda for the philosophy, and you can't read them like that. So if the books have a little bit about music, they don't have much about her tiddlywink music. That's what she loved, and so you can't. You can't. There's a lot of art to getting how to look at the novels and what she views and what she thinks or not. They're self-expression, but she said you can't get my whole view of life and so on from the novels and my whole sense of life, as she put it. And I want to say one just thing about career, that what I don't think you were saying this, but you could take as an implication you got some kind of choice between having a family and having a career. I think, and that's not, I mean, you can have both, but Ayn Rand, I mean, I view her as a genius. And what a career is for that person is really different than for many people. It's all-consuming often. Like, does Beethoven have kids? I don't know. I could well conceive that he doesn't, or he might have been neglectful towards his kids, because his career is it's an all-consuming passion. And I think that's what literature was for Ayn Rand. So it's, am I going to write Atlas Shrugged or have kids? That's different than am I going to be a writer and have kids.
I wonder if I can ask you to capsulize. I know this is difficult. Can I ask you to capsulize your philosophy? What is Randism?
First of all, I do not call it Randism, and I don't like that name. I call it Objectivism.
All right.
Meaning a philosophy based on objective reality. Now let me explain it as briefly as I can. First, my philosophy is based on the concept that reality exists as an objective absolute, that man's mind, reason, is his means of perceiving it, and that man needs a rational morality. I am primarily the creator of a new code of morality which has so far been believed impossible, namely a morality not based on faith.
On faith?
Not on faith, not on arbitrary whim, not on emotion, not on arbitrary edict, mystical or social, but on reason, a morality which can be proved by means of logic, which can be demonstrated to be true and necessary.
How does objectivism differ from the philosophies that many of us have been exposed to in our youths? Philosophies based upon religions, theologians, dogmatists.
The very first difference, objectivism tells you that it is not right, it is not proper to man to take anything on faith. Religion is a matter of faith. You accept a religion emotionally or because you were born to it. You have not chosen it rationally. What objectivism will tell you is that reason, man's reason is his basic means of survival. That is the most important faculty which he has, and he has to guide his life and make his choices by means of his rational faculty. He has to make his own choices, but he has to know how to make them. It is immoral for him to act on his emotions, to be guided by the whim of the moment. That objectivism holds as very wrong, very immoral. And morality, in fact, consists of following your reason to the best of your ability. So that rationality is the basic virtue from which all the others proceed.
My morality is based on man's life as a standard of value. And since man's mind is his basic means of survival, I hold that if man wants to live on earth and to live as a human being, he has to hold reason as an absolute, by which I mean that he has to hold reason as his only guide to action, and that he must live by the independent judgment of his own mind, that his highest moral purpose is the achievement of his own happiness, and that he must not force other people, nor accept their right to force him, that each man must live as an end in himself and follow his own rational self-interest.
Tell me the value of selfishness.
Use another word, self-esteem. The value of selfishness is that you esteem yourself as a value, that you live according to your nature, which means by the judgment of your own mind, and you respect your own mind, you respect your own ability to do the right thing, therefore you respect the possibility of being a morally virtuous person, and you regard yourself as a value worth preserving. To make a success of yourself in any line of rational activity is a great virtue. And people will attack you for exercising your ability, for hard work, for consistency, for ambition. And they will want to make you feel guilty of it. That is the greatest evil, according to my philosophy.
And, wait, say that again. The greatest evil, according to your philosophy, is to attack an individual because of virtue.
What I call it is to experience or act on hatred of the good for being the good. That is attacking people for their virtues, for their achievements, for anything they have which is a value, actually, not for their flaws and not for their evil. In fact, people who preach that are the ones who are mawkish about the evil people, the failures, the liars, the cheats. Everybody who is weak suddenly acquires some kind of value. But anyone who is a success has to be attacked for his success.
And look at how you have been attacked.
Oh, I know.
How you have been criticized. There
You
are many people in this country, forgive me, in this world who think you're daft.
They don't. They want you to think that.